to get everything loaded on in. So Jarvan is definitely a champion that I'm looking at as now last ban Wukong Yunara also going to be the final ban for EDG.
Orianna?
Jarvan is up. Yep, Orianna is also available if you just want to handshake the Ori and the Azir. That also is an option. Ryze is also available, though we have been seeing him more as a like 2-3 pick, I think, in the current meta.
I am shocked at we've not taken away any of the power mid laners. I know there's a vast pool of them, like you so adequately pointed out, Quax, but usually we get like one of Orianna, Ryze, Azir coming off the board. So the fact that we have none of them is interesting for our both teams, as we do see that Angel will grab himself the Orianna with so many of those good pairings left up. I like this move. You spoke on the Jarvan. We talked about the Nocturne that has a lot of high priority. No matter what WE do here on this turn, you're going to have a pretty good pairing with that Orianna for Angel.
And I do think that Azir is, yeah, probably just going to be the lock-in, because not only is it a decent matchup into the Orianna, but also you're expecting an engaged jungler to be paired up with this Ori just to get that shockwave combo off. So having that that Emperor's Divide to be able to kind of push that away and disengage a fight, kind of mess up that combo a little bit, is super duper valuable. So I think that WE, if they want to index into that, is definitely an option, as we do see the Mundo hover. This is actually Monki's most played of the split, so it does negate some of that CC from the Orianna and potentially Jarvan, as we see it hovered here by Xiaohao. And also, it's a comfort pick for Monki in their last regular game series of the season.
Yeah, I also like it, right? Because Azir wants to play a longer style fight. Mundo's all about survive and thrive with maximum dosage. If you can... We're already seeing with this Nocturne locked in that EDG are very much about we need to go in, blow somebody up immediately, or fights are not going our way, especially with the Nico lock-in. So now, WE can kind of just set up this defensive strategy of we're going to try and throw the Nocturne off us with Azir, we're going to try to outlast the burst damage with Mundo. It's going to make no matter how the game goes, at a certain point, WE will be too tanky and too problematic for this EDG comp. We are immediately putting Edward Gaming on a timer.
And WE here, you can see hovering the Scion, and they're going to lock it in.
Holy
so
front
WE have a lot of survivability, and that longevity is certainly there, like you so adequately put, Slayer. But the lack of damage, especially early on, is something that I am pretty concerned about right now, especially because EDG, they don't have insane early game damage and insane early game proactivity. Nocturne isn't the champion that'll be, looking for invade. So I do think that this slightly plays into WE's hands, but as soon as we see the Orianna hit level 6, as soon as we see the Nocturne hit level 6, and even that Nico, if we're extending that courtesy over to Parukia, I feel like EDG are going to start making plays, and WE still won't really have the damage to match at the current moment. So I think we need to see a solid carry be drafted here for a bout, and EDG have enough of a team fight combo right now where I think it really opens up the door for Leave to go for something a little bit more stylish. I think that Kaisa has been a champion he's been very fond of so far and does fit the mold of what they want to do, and WE are going to ban that one up immediately.
Good call. Good call. Yeah, so second phase of bans, I think WE have done a very good job at taking away a tank shredder, and then, like you mentioned, just a great playmaking champion to follow up on the immediate dive that this comp puts together. Ezreal is an about targeted ban. I maybe like to see like a Sivir here as well. They're going to go with the Corki. I think Sivir works perfectly with this composition. Now, obviously can't get jumped on with the Shockwave, the Nocturne Orianna Shockwave, but yeah, you get an Enchanter next to the Sivir. Now you have Sivir Azir scaling. It doesn't have any dashes for Nocturne Orianna here, Quax, but I actually remember WE running this exact comp if we get Yaoyao to lock in the Lulu, which he will, with the Mundo of Monki being too problematic with Wild Growth and maximum dosage. It's going to get really hard for EG to kill off these carries.
Yeah. And here it is. I mean, when you lock in the Lulu, I feel like the best pairing that's currently available is the Ophelio. So EDG are going to be kind of forced to take away that duo if they want to at least have a better time for Leave, who, like we said, wants to be dishing out the damage, wants to have that follow-up with the team fight combo that EDG have drafted up so far. But it doesn't look like they're going to get an AD carry right away. Instead, go for that Ambessa into the Scion. So I don't think we're going to be seeing a ton of interaction here in the top lane. I mean, that's partially why you go the Scion, just to negate a lot of those worries into some of those lane bullies. But Vayne being hovered, I actually would kind of hate that, but Smolder I think I would kind of hate more, to be honest with you.
Well,
I like the misfortune.
I mean, yeah, this is just, we are, we are throwing everything at you. We are jumping in completely as a team. Paranoia, Shockwave, Pop Blossom, Public Execution, and there's a raining hellfire of bullets on top of it. EDG are looking to wombo up a team fight and trust in that to win this game, but I've already seen WE get wins this way, playing the Outlast style, and I think it has worked a lot in group perseverance, and it's a whole different other conversation, Quax, about if this will work against, Send teams or teams will meet in the Knights Rivals tournament, but it has found a lot of success so far in the regular season here for Team WE. Main reason why I think they are 4-1 at the top of the group, playing comps like this and daring teams to punish them for it.
It definitely is a question of endurance here for WE because you don't have a lot of early game proactivity. You really are waiting on some of these late game power spikes to come through, which means EDG can kind of just run the map for the first 20 or so minutes of the game unless they make a massive mistake and give a lump sum of gold over to WE. So that's going to be the big test for EDG as well. You have a timer, you have your time in the sun, and that is from when you hit Summoner's Rift to around the 20-minute mark until that scaling really starts to take effect. So what can you do with that? EDG have done a really good job at snagging wins by being proactive in the early game, and that is how they're going to win this game and by extension potentially this series, Slayer.
A big reason why EDG were not able to find this series win last time was not carrying over that early game success you talked about, Quax, consistently into closing out games. Very cool to see TWE testing them the same exact way in their final series of group perseverance. It's time to hit the rift here. Team WE, Edward Gaming for one final time.
Still am not used to those cheers yet, but
I give a little bit of Team WE. I think that I would give slight edge, the Yaoyao edge. It's an important one.
Yup. Oh, don't we know it as American football enjoyers? Home field advantage and the crowd being on your side is definitely something that takes effect. As, yeah, I mean, continuing to also already forced to burn the barrier. So. Yeah, this is something that we're looking at. We haven't touched a lot on it, but Leave, on top of EDG, just trying to minimize the mistakes that have plagued them for essentially the entire split. I think if we want to go a little bit more granular, Leave, especially on an immobile AD carry like Misfortune, you got to be conservative with that flash. You have to temper your aggressive tendencies because if WE, especially in the late game, have an opportunity to punish that, you best believe that they are going to. So I feel like EDG, all of the members have something that they need to work on, and the team itself definitely needing to find that improvement angle if a lot of people are to be reconvinced that they can be more competitive than they have been all split.
Reconvinced. Glad you used that wording because this is the team that many, not just here at LPL English's broadcast team, but a lot of you in the majority LPL fandom thought would be a team to make their way finally to Group Ascend. EDG, we're never playing in Group Ascend in 2025. Got to keep that one in mind as well. Quax, so talk to me about these jungle paths here because I see Monki's a bit quicker out of his on the bot side and will be spot on this ward, and Xiaohao is also clearing down to this very area.
Yeah, Monki as well, deciding to go for the red Krugs. Rookie mistake. You go for Krugs red because if you don't have the priority, you got to walk that much further. Time is money, and Monki is Money Man Mundo, so doesn't he know it?
Oh my god, though. He's going to land the first cleaver on Angel. The slows are starting to stack here. Ooh. Angel's going to have to flash. The timing of that was so interesting, Quax, because Xiaohao nearly spotted Monki going into that brush, but was just a second behind.
And now Monki going to be able to walk up toward this topside crab, equalize that CS count with his counterpart. And Angel forced to burn that flash already. Like we said, we wanted to see WE temper themselves in the early game. But Monki has been a player who really has not been doing that this split. I think that anytime he has seen an inkling of opportunity on the map, he has always gone for it, and that has led to some very good plays and some good results for WE. It's also led to some very questionable results for WE. I think that the inconsistency largely stems from the engages they look for, particularly particularly in the mid to late game. And I think that was a good look there from Monki, but we have to see that continue in this game because, again, this is a team that we need to be convinced can take that next step. And that is going to be a question of how can they be consistent against maybe some of those Ascend teams if they do, in fact, make it.
And while, you know, losing that flash for Angel is problematic in most game scenarios, I still do think it's not the biggest issue as long as Angel plays respectfully enough. Because, again, this is a very slow-moving draft from Team W. Usually you could think if there's a Jarvan, a Wukong, a Xin Zhao in the game, like, they could flash, get some CC down, and make sure the Orianna can't move for a kill. But it's still just going to be, what, Monki running at Angel at the right time and hitting a cleaver. And if you play respectfully enough, Angel shouldn't be punished too heavily for losing that flash. But as we talked about from Draft Quax, you still need to be the more proactive team in this area if you are EDG. Luckily right now, that is mainly through Leave, who does open up to about a 4,000 gold lead already before 5 minutes.
400, I believe.
400,
yes.
Yep, my numbers are off. See, we talked about it. I don't do math. This is why I don't do math, Max.
And I was getting a little bit worried there. I'm glad About is opting to channel that reset, being really low. And obviously, we know that the junglers, and I think both teams know that each jungler has the mirror clear. So Xiaohao is on the bot side of the map, wanting to avoid the wrath of that Nocturne. And with both junglers finishing up their clears, that bot side crab, I believe, is going to tick the person who takes it over to level 6. So if Xiaohao can secure that, unlock that paranoia, and hover around some of these lanes in mid and bot, he can maybe look to make a play with that and open EDG up to a solid start. But the waves are pushing, so I don't think there is a likelihood of being able to make a play, but there is a high likelihood of being able to get that crowd.
Okay. Ooh. Oh, Karis, I like the look. That's how you could punish Angel without flash, but the soldiers sweep right under the Orianna there. So now Karis, a good look, but both mid laners without flash, without that play, as you called out. Xiaohao will take over to level 6 first. He's also spotted on a ward going for these Raptors, and there's the paranoia immediately engaged on top of him. He's going to smite the big Krug, but he doesn't have 6. Flash for flash, follow. Shockwave going to get the CC shield off of Monki, and Xiaohao will punish Monki for the aggressive invade and get EDG on the board first.
You know, it's a tale as old as time. Whoever controls the Scuttle Crabs controls the universe. Xiaohao gets the crab, gets level 6, and that's the big difference maker. Monki going down, also having to expend that flash. Xiaohao has to do the same, but with Karis also not having that summoner spell up, he's not really able to help out his jungler. And EDG off to a solid start here. The gold going into that Nocturne.
Prime target to keep snowballing is there's probably execution from ZDZ in the top side. Always a good time to shout out my favorite game of the early game. It's called Ultimate Chicken. You only play in the top lane. You throw down your ultimates just to make sure you let your opponent know you have it. We saw Cube do that to get back to lane, and now ZDZ does it just to create some more pressure. Shouldn't see the top laners much for a little bit still, and a lot of the attention will go towards, as you mentioned, Edward Gaming looking to push their lead, and maybe doing so with this Mountain Drake that's been chilling on the map for a bit.
It's a game of chicken, but, you know, we just got to see a math equation mentioning chickens and rabbits. So it's a game of chicken and rabbit, especially because we're talking about the top lane. Yep, we're relating it back to the show. Is Parukia.
Okay, Parukia into the bullet time off the Pop Blossom. That gets both summoners out of About and the heal out of Yaoyao. It's not a kill, but the pressure continuing to mount on the Team WE.
And you can see Xiaohao just immediately saying, all right, well, they're forced to reset, or they're just straight up jailed under their turret. This is a free dragon for EDG. Good decision-making by Parukia to go in. Even though it doesn't net them a kill, it nets them pressure, like you said, and it nets them the space to go for this first neutral objective. Monki also on the bot side of the map, finishing up, I believe, his 3rd clear of the game, means that a cross map isn't there for the Mundo. And some of these resets can come through from EDG. They can redeploy onto this top side and really start to take over these neutrals, which is what we said needed to happen in that draft, being proactive in this early to mid game, and they have definitely shown that here, Slayer.
And just look at the sheer item difference that we're getting between our AD carries off the back of that. It is a BF sword and a pickaxe for the AD carry that's strut passive, basically neutralizes the boots of About. So if you take that out, it's Caulfield's Warhammer versus BF Sword Pickaxe. That is huge for this area of the game.
see that Xiaohao is moving up toward the top side as grubs are going to be started up here. ZDZ is kind of fighting for priority. I don't think they can really walk in until that Ambessa can sort of inch forward. So they're not even going to try. Xiaohao instead is going to be looking for other opportunities on the map, but there really isn't anything. Both junglers cleared out their bot sides before committing up toward this top lane. And you can also see the lane, because About and Yaoyao were forced to kind of burn a bunch of summoners from that engage by Parukia earlier. They don't want to walk up, so there really isn't going to be an opportunity for the Nocturne to look for any kind of a cross map. WE equalizing that neutral objective counter, and EDG not capable of really doing much about it.
And that's big, right, for the whole stall game analogy we're going to run with for this one, because a big way that can come back to bite you is giving up everything on the map. So getting those grubs, especially knowing how turret pressure is going to be a factor here for EDG, is valuable to buying time for this comp for Team WE.
And I think getting those grubs is going to be really valuable for trying to accelerate some of the demanding, I guess we should say, item spikes and breakpoints that some of these WE members have for this comp, particularly that Azir. I think this is going to help Karis a pretty good amount in just trying to get some of those big item spikes for this champion. And then also Mundo, Sion, you know, the classic split pushers are definitely going to like this if they have the opportunity to apply pressure in a side lane.
Karis is going to drop the Emperor's Divide early and just sets up the easy Shockwave over Paranoia combo. It's like Karis almost knew it was going to happen, but that's 0 for 2 on the Emperor's Divides for, well, our all-pro mid laner, Quax.
Yeah, Karis definitely probably a bit of an oopsie there on the micro. You could see, I believe in his cam, he kind of shook his head 1 or 2 times. Yeah, that was a bit of a mess up from the all-pro mid laner of Group Perseverance Slayer, and will allow for Angel to now get a kill pushing that wave, and Karis forced to TP as we do get a replay. So yeah, he goes in and completely, he didn't even throw it the right way. I think he wanted Angel to go into the turret, but he just pushes him to the side. It's an easy opening for the Nocturne, and yeah, it's a mistake on Karis' part.
Yeah, I really don't understand it. Hold on, Monki, though, doing Mundo things, looking to walk down Parukia. Gonna miss one of the cleavers, so Parukia will be fine. Yeah, head scratching, though. It's almost like he was trying to knock the Nocturne out of his ultimate because he thought it was coming, but it was too early for that as well. Karis off to a bit of a rougher start nonetheless, but WE really do have themselves in a precarious situation. It may only be 2 kills, but, well, Quax, I guess I'll pose the question to you. What goal lead gets you worried at this moment in the game, and maybe once we reach 15 minutes for this super scale WE comp?
I definitely think leave 1.4K. It's not 4,000, but it is 1.4. And I think that is significant enough to where the follow-up damage from Misfortune is definitely going to hurt the later this game goes on. And speaking of potentially hurting, Xiaohao's wrapping around, looking for Monki. Does steal away the blue.
Okay, and now he's got the fear down to get rid of that CC shield. ZZ's trying to get here so he can get the public execution, and he's going to force Monki to flash as the lights do go out. But more gold going the way of EDG. This Cube also going to walk in. Paranoia hadn't been used on the dash just yet, so Xiaohao gets right on top of him. Now Cube has to flash away. Wow. EDG, I mean, we asked it for them, right, Quax? They need to play fast. They need to play confident, and they're doing just that in this opening bout.
And I feel like Xiaohao is definitely embodying that this game on the Nocturne. Immediately hits level 6 and just starts looking for these opportunities on repeat. Every time that ultimate is up, he's making some kind of an aggressive play. I love the expedience coming out from him in this game. And WE constantly under pressure here, but still within a decent gold margin, I want to say. 3,000 is pretty big, especially for the 13-minute mark. But I feel like when you're dealing with threats like Azir and Sivir, that gold lead can very easily swing to the opposite side if you aren't careful. So EDG, moral of the story, don't drop the ball. Don't let this 3,000 gold lead or 2.7 K gold lead deceive you into making overconfident plays on the map.
Yeah, but for now, I mean, looking at the items, I think About will finally get the Essence Reaver completed on this back, but it's Essence Reaver versus Bloodthirster. First item, Power Spike, you'd give over to them. Misfortune, Profane Hydra versus Heartsteel. I don't need to sell anybody on that. Maybe mid lanes where things are a bit even, but everywhere else, EDG's items also just further leaning into the fact that they will dominate this mid game. And it certainly helps that they now have the first 2 Drakes under their belt as we look towards an Ocean Soul for game 1.
And that Soul in about 10 minutes is hang on, ZDZ might be in trouble.
WE, we're getting proactive. I like it. On the hunt, popped. Cube here to just try and get some CC down on the ZDZ. Yaoyao here as well. He's going to eat the public execution. And ZDZ's going to get the double dash. He has his flash as well. Gets over the fat wall. Double dashing in style as ZDZ as he outplays the 1v3 gank. And, well, okay, hold on. Let's not ruin it. Holding this turret. He's gonna stay here. I don't hate it. Fine. He does have his Nico coming on over. Parukia waiting off in the wings with Pop Blossom available. If WE get a little bit too big for their britches. But they'll just settle for a couple of plates thanks to the grubs. But what's happening on bot side?
Yep, I like this a lot. Angel allowing himself to side lane and grow that gold lead between him and the Azir even more. Now, I mean, the rest of WE who have kind of gravitated toward this top side, they're forced to disperse. They can't really threaten this turret with still like 1.5 plates on it. And that is just going to allow EDG to, again, come out to a lead in the gold department. But kind of going back to that Dragon, I mean, we're looking at around a 26-ish minute Soul right now, Slayer. And that is kind of a timer that I feel like WE really wanted to try and delay at least a little bit. Because 26 minutes, I mean, we're starting to hit the 1-item breakpoints. I don't even think a lot of these champions spike when they get 2 items, frankly. I think the 3-item power spike is definitely when champs like Sivir and Azir can more or less come online into that carry potential. And you don't have 10 minutes, I think. For 2 items at this point, you're not hitting that mark the way that you are playing.
I do like some of these rotations, though, from WE across the map right now. They're utilizing the TP out of Q to be able to cover this top tier 1 turret as they take some serious plates down on the bot tier 1 thanks to those grubs and that touch of the void. They've got the bot tier 1 down, about 4 more plates than it was currently holding, but credit needs to go back to EDG because it feels like every move WE make, it is coming at some sort of cost on the other side.
And now, I mean, Herald here for Xiaohao. I'm curious to see where he places that. Monkey gets dangerously low. Yep.
I guess he does have maximum dosage. Oh, all right. Public execution's not going to hit. There's an interesting little Shreeman slide, we'll call it, from Karis as he sends his soldiers one way and dashes the other. There's the, I guess that's, he was scaling on these Emperor's Divides. That's a pretty nifty one.
Yeah, just flexing the mechanic. He was moving like a slide whistle, you know, when you're... That was the...
That's a perfect... You sounded exactly like a slide whistle, Quax. I hope you know that.
I appreciate it, yeah. I've been practicing.
Problem. You've been practicing. It shows.
Yeah.
Just like Karis has been practicing this game with his Emperor's Divides, you know? Practice makes perfect.
Yep. But now, Xiaohao, I mean, having that Herald, I think you place this in mid lane and you really open up the map on that bot side. You make it a lot more difficult for WE to contest you. As, hang on,
Karis,
in a bit of trouble.
We were praising you, buddy, but you forgot you don't have a tier 1 turret. He's got a flash and dash, but here comes Xiaohao to land right on top of his head. He's got no dashes, no flashes, and now no color left in his screen.
And 3 members on bot lane. I mean, you got to send someone here now for WE. You can see the reset is coming off from Cube to try and save this turret. I don't think they're going to get the full thing. Actually, they might. All right, let's see if the train... Yeah, okay, so the train arrives just in time to save the tower. And Cube is going to deny a little bit of gold from EDG, but they still got a ton of plates, so... They are continuing to convert a lot of these kills and a lot of these picks that they get into actually affecting the map. And that's what we said we needed to see, most importantly, Slayer. And we have been seeing that in this game.
And they're already setting up shop back around this bot river. Outside that 1 pink ward. Yep, thank you to our observers. This is how much vision EDG have right now in this bot side jungle, but it's still Parukia face checking the 1 brush he really couldn't. Now he's got to use the pop also defensively. Leaves going to come on over, get the slow as Monki pops the maximum dosage. Parukia without ult and flash will be very significant.
Yeah. He is an easy target, but the pop blossom, not the only way EDG can start up a fight if it comes to that. Obviously, that Paranoia now coming off of cooldown, Xiaohao is going to have that, and Angel has his Shockwave, of course, so EDG can still start up a fight that way, or ZDZ can look for a public execution. There's just so many ways that they can catch WE off guard, and now without that maximum dosage, it's getting progressively more difficult for WE to be the guys that initiate a lot of these fights, but I don't think they're tanky enough to receive a lot of the damage that particularly this EDG top side have started to build into getting around those 2 item breakpoints for themselves. This Dragon has spawned. Herald is still in inventory.
Nobody saw him in the brush. It's still Xiaohao engaged. Wild Growth comes across. Yaoyao's going to get tagged, though. About has to flash out of the bullet time as well, as Yaoyao will drop. TP coming over top to make sure 5 members strong. Angel's going to force Monki to flash out of his own jungle as well. EDG are bloodthirsty to right the wrongs of this matchup first time round.
And who needs the Pop Blossom? Immediately started up there. I love the confidence from Xiaohao yet again. He starts up the fight. ZDZ is there to follow. EDG gonna take down that mid turret and claim a soul point. All of the things are starting to come up heads for them. And WE really just desperate for any kind of a response, but they're not able to make one. They're gonna be late to intercepting this Drake. Maybe they can look for a kill on the receiving end, but I don't think it's possible. It's Cube.
Okay.
Oh.
Shortest little shuffle there on the Unstoppable Onslaught. How do they do it, though? Especially without that Scion ult, right? It's like, what are we banking on? Monki hitting a cleaver? I mean, he just smited for a slow. Doesn't even get rid of the strut passive. Leave just dancing around all of WE as they look to converge on this mid-tier 1 turret, which they will finally knock down to pick up some much-needed gold, but there's always a trade.
It feels like it might be too little too late. I mean, you're staring down the barrel of EDG at Soul Point. They're going to be getting this around 25 to 24 minutes, and I don't think any meaningful spikes are going to come here for WE in those, in between that time. So it is a difficult game here for Team W as we do get a look again at this play, and Xiaohao doesn't need his Orianna. He just goes immediately in. He's got the confidence of ZDZ backing him, and the bullet time there to tear WE asunder. There's so many fight starter tools on EDG. Even if they lose one, they've got 3 more in their pocket, and WE really just aren't able to respond in a lot of these fights. It's the lack of damage, and frankly, I feel like the tankiness that we kind of highlighted in the draft hasn't been a factor in allowing them to stave off some of these engages from WE, or EDG.
You're certainly right, Quax. I love watching the... Oh, hold on. Paranoia. Jump on from Xiaohao. It's Yaoyao again. He gets feared up. Wild Growth. Does not matter. There's nothing happening there to save Yaoyao. It's another pick here from Xiaohao, and a mighty first 20 minutes here from EDG. But as good of a lead as this is, Quax, I do want to bring up the point that this part of the game forward has been where EDG has struggled the most. Hopefully it doesn't come at this Baron they're forcing at 21 and a half minutes. WE are looking to make a stand here. They are TPing in a 4 versus 5. Pop Blossom isn't going to do anything. Monki pops past him with dosage. He's running right after Angel, but a clutch fear comes down from Xiaohao. First take is cut down. Bullet time is interrupted on leave. Executes a decimating smash. But there's no way for any carries to step up. They don't have their pocket Kin Lulu, and they don't have their big tanky Mundo. So it's only Cube that takes some harass. Maybe at least Team WE should have stalled off this Baron play.
Yeah, EDG are unable to continue on that topside neutral and continue accelerating their game, but you still give more gold over to their pockets, and it's just like you said, Slayer. Cube is in the middle of everybody, but none of the carries are actually able to dish out the damage. They're getting zoned off of the fight, and the Scion isn't enough to be able to actually threaten any of these squishier members onto EDG, so it's a couple of kills. It's a denied Baron, but they certainly don't need the Baron at this point to still be ahead of the curve. As you do get another look, and I was actually thinking initially this could be the moment that WE try to turn it around, but the moment Monki goes down and Scion is relied on to be the sole frontliner of WE, I just feel like there really isn't a possibility for About and Karis to actually play the game. So we do see EDG continuing to run away with this game. Denied that Baron, but again, there is a Soul coming up in less than 2 minutes. So as soon as you stop one threat, one more rears around the corner.
And how far are we away from this ideal WE game state? Just look at their carries right now. We have a LDR that's being built by About, so even at 3 items, I don't really think he's the big threat yet, right? Man. And then there's just an arm guard. Yeah, exactly. So there's not even a Zanya's done here for Karis. We are a ways away from either of these damage dealers being a true threat. And the tanks don't have the beefy health bars for the survivability yet anytime soon.
Yeah, it's definitely a rough situation for Team WE here. And I feel like I really am just harkening back to the draft a lot in this game. The lack of damage, lack of proactivity. I mean, these are the staples that WE have kind of built themselves upon. And what has made them so successful is allowing Monki to make a lot of these aggressive plays, allowing Karis to be a bit more scrappy in the laning phase, especially compared to other mid laners in group perseverance. None of those traits are present in this draft, and I feel like WE are fishes out of their element here, fishes out of water, because they just don't look like the same squad with a comp that is really tailored to wait out the game and not really punch back until the 20-minute mark.
What's most unfortunate about that correct assessment there, Quax, is some of their most played champions are in this game. You mentioned Monki on the Mundo. Karis has been very good on the Azir, so these aren't going to be available for a very important game too. This is seeming to trend towards, but right now attention must go towards this Drake pit. You called it out. We're getting a Ocean Soul Drake spawning at 24.5 minutes, and Parukia already has a devastating flank with Monki down to about half HP. ZDZ and Parukia are looking. Finally, Parukia will be spotted, so WE know they have to go further into enemy territory because the enemy is behind them, waiting and lurking. ZDZ and Parukia want to find a miracle flank as the dragon has been started up. On the hunt, going to be popped for extra move speed. Parukia's going to make his move now. The Pop Blossom goes down. They don't get any big hits. And this time, About's able to save up. That's a huge effort to fight, but the bullet time from Leave will put the cherry on top. A masterful game one from EDG. It's Monki only finding one trade back. It is on to the jungler, but now all the carries, the support systems are gone. It's just the tanks hoping they get a crack at this dragon that they never will truly see.
I mean, okay, now Monki is over the wall. Really
Monki.
good blast cone there from ZDZ.
Oh, yep. Gonna have to flash right back over where he came from, and now there is no chance for him to really contest this. I mean, how does he get over this wall? He's got to walk around, and Monki will surrender the Ocean Soul to the jungler-less EDG.
Yep. Ocean Soul acquired, and for champions like the Ambessa, for champions like the Nocturne, who are really the main initiators of this comp, it is very, very nice for them to just have that extra bout of safety, as we do get a replay here. And just the setup from EDG, really, really solid. Not to mention the execution and the layering of these ultimates. Parukia goes in, the Shockwave passes by and still clips the Lulu as well. So both of the bot laners get caught and then leave. Flash over the wall, bullet time, super easy for the Misfortune because the setup was so good, and Leave able to finish off some of those kills. The layering again from EDG, really what I think determined that fight. And just the fact that they're too far ahead, WE really can't fight back. There's a Baron on the board, and they're just going to immediately start it. They don't even have to get a pick. They're confident enough to say, if you want to fight us on this, go ahead, try it.
We dare you to walk into our ultimates. All 5 of them back up and available, but WE have no other option than to throw caution to the wind. Baron down about 5k as the lights do go out. Where does Xiaohao go in? He's going to mark on top of a target with the bullet time shockwave that drags Yaoyao back down under. And here comes the Pop Blossom to grab 3 more members. Pulling execution hits onto About. EDG are lining these ultimates like they got the biggest target in front of them. Flash out of Karis to try and get back as Monki is starting to heal up here. But again, who is left to deal damage in this fight? Karis is just tickling this Ambessa, who's constantly dashing through all these tanks. The Azir turret gonna get knocked down, and EDG can finally set their sights back on more structures. And WE have to be very careful where they want to really pick their chance to recall. It's a 2-man split here from EDG now. Angel and ZDZ, the solo laners, will push up 1 wave, while 2 damage dealers tangle with Baron a 3rd and likely final time.
That unironically looked like the best to fight WE have had all game long, but it's too little, it's too late. The Ocean Soul provides too much safety, and EDG are too durable at this point. They're going to knock down this Baron and all wear purple, and I feel like the time of game number 1 Slayer is starting to sunset. You've got the Baron, you've got the Ocean Soul, you've got a nearly 9,000 gold lead over the enemy team. And a surgical, clean game from EDG thus far. It would take a miracle for them to mess this up.
I'm glad you pointed it out, though, Quax, because even these last couple fights, it feels like there are points where you see the power of this WE draft in more normal scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, if the gold wave was like closer to even, I could totally see them being able to fight back in this game. I know that's kind of a nothing burger statement, but WE have just looked better in the last few fights. But because the gold gap is so big, because they now have the soul, and because these EDG members are so accelerated, it really doesn't matter how well you play the fights at this point. You're just getting slapped with a big fat wallet, and that's insane coming from WE, who have a guy who has a literal briefcase full of money. And the Emperor. And an Emperor. These guys are like rich. And a mercenary, like Sivir hunts for gold or whatever, right? So you've got like people that love money getting
there's some money.
Out-wealthed or something by the EDG members.
Yeah, you're right. If only you could tap into the lore of your characters when you're down 9K gold in a very important game of League of Legends. If only. All right, hold on. Leave is a bit out of position here. Good dodge on the unstoppable onslaught. The slow will come across. Shockman has to be used defensively. Leave will turn for the bullet time, but will get shut down. And Xiaohao, he's chasing down about, but he's not going to find that kill. Boomerang forces out the GA. There was a big pop loss on Parukia, but now Angel needs consistent damage and CDC to the backline, but he doesn't even find the kill on Cube. He's taking up turret aggro, takes about 5 or 6 shots, and it somehow doesn't matter. ZDZ goes right back out where he came from. But Leave's mispositioning woes continue to hamper EDG's potential. They go even in a fight they had no business being that close in.
WE hold the line. Angel's going to stay and keep applying pressure onto this bot side, and that Ocean Soul is allowing him to heal up and really be healthy in what is essentially a 1v3 on the bot side now. He's doing as much damage as he possibly can over to Monki, but he's got to be very careful not to overstell his welcome.
Oh my lord. Who's really overstaying right now, Quax? It doesn't really feel like it's Angel.
Nope. The Ocean Soul is really providing that sustain that he needs in order to look more aggressive. Knocks down the turret, opens up the base of WE on this top side, but because of that that hold from WE, now they're gonna maybe be able to look for this soul that's coming up in about a minute as we do go back to the replay. And yeah, Leave.
Quax, he has flash.
Good.
He has flash his entire time.
Please, man.
Oh, hold on. Is ZDZ killing Karis in live? Yep, he is. Oh, you didn't need to do the public execution, ZDZ. This guy's freestyling on the Mbessa right now.
And ZDZ kind of making up for his earlier mispositions by his AD carry. Now it's a 4v5. All the lanes are pushing, and I don't think the Elder is going to be contestable by WE here, especially if Monki goes down, as he is chipped down to about half HP. This Mundo really not able to deliver the damage and be that just walking tank that we expect him to be in, and like Monki has displayed so many times over the course of his games playing it.
Quax, I know you wanted us to disagree for the sake of fun arguments on our Group Ascend talk for these two teams. We're going to have to tab that conversation because he was going for a very deep ride in enemy territory here. Monkey's going to try and lead the charge like Mundos do. Not a care in the world. CC spell shield. I don't really care about that. I've got maximum dosage, and I've got a date with Elder. Can he get in here? Pop Blossom's going to delay him, and he won't pick up the Elder. And now the turn will come out. But down goes Monkey, and the Elder Dragon is making his statement onto the map with these executes. There's another one. A bout will go down. CDZ picks himself up a pretty big triple kill. We'll find another one on top of that with League taking down Karis, and that will polish off maybe one of the most dominating wins from start to finish from EDG, as they'll take a 1-0 series lead in their final series of Group Perseverance.
WE definitely the favorites of this best of 3, but EDG with a statement game to start us off. They dominate game number 1, Slayer.
And Quax, great. Now that we're on camera, we can pose the question. Maybe gloat a little bit, victory lap. I may jinx us down the line. Hopefully nobody's out there to clip it. But you wanted us to be a bit adverse on our take about Group Ascend teams. Come on, come over here, man. It feels nice. We're up 1-0 on the very team everyone we're doubting. The very team we are doubting together.
They're scaling. no other explanation for it. I mean, EDG had such a rough start to this split, right? I think a lot of people at the start of split number 1 here for LPL were really surprised just how disjointed they looked, especially with a team that had so little turnover in roster movement compared to other Perseverance squads like NIP, who had a complete rebuild. They looked like they just weren't on the same page in a lot of these fights, but I feel like EDG, especially with the Nocturne and the Orianna combo, made a statement in of itself with that synergy, saying, we are back, we are scaling, we hear you, and we're going to turn around those issues. Though, this was a clean game. It wasn't without one little smudge slayer, and one of the biggest things that EDG have been criticized to clean up, and it goes by one specific AD carry. Leave. Please use your flash next time, brother. That would have been a clean game top to bottom otherwise.
Yeah, so you know what? That's important. That's important to levy here, Quax, because again, it will matter for if you want to be a Group Ascend team. You need to have. It's the same thing I talk about when we looked at LNG and Group Nirvana. By the way, that's a team that lost what, 2 entire games of Group Nirvana, but still, if you want to be a Group Ascend team, you need to look utterly dominant in these 2 groups, because I don't care how much you people at home aren't high on top esports or IG right now. There's levels to this, and you need to be so perfect in these groups to really have us talking about you as a Group Ascend team. As we'll look back at some of the stats here, but Quax, as much as I know you love these post-game screens, there's not much more of a story to tell with them in a game like this.
Yeah, I mean, this game really was just extremely one-sided, and again, I feel like WE just not really playing to their strengths as a team. They're very scrappy. They love to be proactive. Monki in particular, I think, has been one of the junglers to challenge Xiaohao in the department of, hey, I'm going to hit the ground running immediately and start looking for plays, even if some of them are a bit psychopathic, and he wasn't able to do that at all. All of the lanes were in a kind of position where they're saying, all right, we can't really do anything early. We don't have the damage profile capable of contesting these first couple of dragons, these grubs, and they weren't able to do anything outside of, like, when we went past the second Drake or stuff like that, because it just kind of felt like EDG were constantly putting pedal to the metal and were able to make those plays. So, yeah, I feel like this comp not favoring what we have seen from WE and their most comfortable style. And so I hope in game number 2, we get to see them be a bit more proactive with their draft that allows them to have some of those early game plays that we know they're capable of making.
Very true, Quax, but I do want to give you more credit over at EDG because this was a comp that they lost to in a Game 3 against WE in their last meeting. It's not exactly perfect, but it was Monki on Mundo. It was Yaoyao and about Sivir Lulu. And we saw that in that game, the Monki was able to pop maximum dosage, pop wild growth, and it was late enough that he could just walk at all of this EDG comp. They learned. Like you mentioned, they scaled up. But, Quax, my question to you is, who do you feel like scaled up the most here in earning themselves a very valuable player of the game?
I honestly feel like I have to give it over to Xiaohao. I feel like with the Nocturne, the timing was just immaculate from this guy. I feel like every time he had a paranoia, it was maybe off cooldown for like 15 seconds, and then he would immediately use it onto some poor soul on Team WE. So I think he really accelerated the game state, allowed EDG to outrun the pace of the game that WE had kind of set with this comp that they drafted. And even though it came down to an Elder Dragon, which I think was maybe later than they wanted the game to go, it really was because they were taking those dragons essentially on spawn, and Xiaohao was spearheading that operation as well. So a lot of credit over to the Nocturne. And hey, listen, I know, jungler choosing jungler for MVP, I get it.
I was going to say it, so I'm glad you said it.
But I feel like you could probably make a case for like 4 out of 5 of these players winning player of the game, in fairness.
I think you can make a case for 3 out of the 5. I would agree. To your credit, I think Xiaohao is one of them. I would be most happy if this goes to Xiaohao or this goes to ZDZ, because I think what he was doing in the late game with this Mbessa was a little bit disgusting. Yeah. Rescued some of those later fights, but it is kind of splitting hairs by this point. Definitely one of those, this is a trope I use way too often, Quax, but it does feel like one of those ones where if we could give player of the game to the team as a whole, it would probably be a game like this.
Yeah, they played really well synergistically, and I feel like a lot of it came from the mid jungle. We highlighted this as like a bright spot for EDG going into the game, how Xiaohao and Angel have really been gelling together in this split, even when EDG have been down and a lot of people have been kind of discounting them and throwing them a bit under the bus reputation-wise. I do think that this has been a staple of their gameplay, and it was a staple of how they won this game. So a lot of credit over to Xiaohao and Angel for linking up as much as possible, making that Nocturne Orianna combo work. I don't care how many times it works, though. I'll never be high on this duo because, swear to God, I hate this Nocturne character, bro. As a jungler, hate this character. Absolutely disgusting.
I'm very aware, Quax. I know you're very happy when he came out of the game, and I'm sorry for you that you have to see him on your screen now, but at least you know you nailed the player of the game. Xiaohao picks up just his second of the split so far. Big shout out to him. But, folks at home, we obviously at the LPL look to award player of the games, but I wonder if some of you wonder if we had to pick a player of the stream, who would that be? Well, I would say it's anyone that joins in, chats, but especially